Let me just say that the leadership forum that you're having, I think it's so appropriate and so important and so timely. And I'm glad you're doing that. I sit now as a ranking member on the Senate Energy on the Democrat side. My dear friend Lisa Murkowski is going to speak to you all in a few minutes, sits on the Republican. She's the chairman. And with that, the thing for the true secret for these committees to work is the two ranking members have to get along. No different than the two leaders, whether it be McConnell and Schumer or whoever. They've got to get along and communicate. Well, Lisa and I are dear friends. Her husband and my wife and all of us have traveled together. We've been friends for many years. So it was a natural. The next thing you got to do is make sure that the committees blend. And I've been very fortunate and very, very appreciative of the committee that I have. I have about 18, 19 people on my side of the Energy Committee, and Lisa has about that many or a couple more, being the majority, and making sure these committees are on the same track. We're trying to get something approved, some moving in a direction we should be moving. We both come from energy-producing states, as you know, Alaska and West Virginia. We're both extraction states. We think we can do it, continue to do what the country needs, and also do it in a much better fashion. We believe that the climate is changing, and we're responsible from the standpoint of humans having the ability to make some changes. Simple as that. The difference is this. I've been very clear. I believe in innovation, not elimination. Innovation, not elimination. I have people on my side of the aisle, if you will, that are preaching elimination because of the Green Deal and everything else, which is aspirational. The bottom line is the real world doesn't work that way. And the demand for energy as the country comes on and different countries are developing is going to make more and more demand for what we've been taking for granted for so many years. So now, can we do it better? Absolutely. Can we be the leader in innovation and technology that's basically going to improve the use of fossil? I'm an all-in energy guy. My wind, solar, hydro, I'm for everything. But I also know we have to have base load. So I've been very, very adamant about that, and I've spoken up in my caucuses, and sometimes it's not the most popular position for me to take in a caucus, but it's the most practical position to take. And I'm not afraid to speak up and say, listen, if you want our country to be the leader, if you want us to be a superpower by 2050, you better basically make sure you embrace all this technology to make sure it works. So we're working on that. The game changer for West Virginia and Appalachia is Appalachia Storage Hub. And I say that, and I know that Steve, I know you've met with Steve and Steve talked to you about. I'm going to put it in perspective this way. Rick Perry's my dear friend. We were governors together, and governors have a certain bond, no matter what side of the aisle, because we don't look at governors as being Democrats or Republicans. They're basically administrators. We've got to make things happen. We've got to keep the trains on track. We've got to make things run. So if someone has one idea over the other, we work back and forth. Rick and I became very close friends and became very long-lasting friends over the horrible tragedy of Katrina when it hit in the Southwest. And I'll never forget, we were sitting in Georgia that day, and we were at a National Governors Conference. And Kathleen could not be there. She was governor of Louisiana at the time. She had to go back home, and I was coming in as the new member and a new leader of that Southern Governors Conference. And Rick and I were sitting there talking, and I said, Rick, is this hurricane going to affect you? And he says, Joe, he says, I've been told it's not going to affect us that much. He said, we'll be fine. Well, needless to say, within a week, he had 250,000 people coming to Texas trying to get refuge. And so we were sending our National Guard and our planes down to try to help him and just try to create that bond. Anyway, Rick and I were talking one time, and I said, Rick, we got all our eggs in one basket in the Southwest. Everything's down there. I said, we've seen the horrific climate and basically the storms and the disruption. He said, Joe, I've seen the model of a Class 5 hurricane coming up the Houston Channel, what it could do and how it could cripple us. We just saw the attack on Aramco in Saudi Arabia and how that could have been a disaster. I just visited Saudi Arabia. I went to the Aramco facility. I saw exactly how they were hit, the direct precision pinpoint accuracy of these missiles. It was unbelievable. But with that being said, so I says, Rick, we're in a perfect position. Appalachia, with this storage hub and basically the newfound ocean of energy, if you will, under our feet with West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, part of Kentucky. I don't know if New York will ever kick in. Don't really need them if they don't want to. We'll figure a way to get that some way and so with technology. But anyway, we've got to Marcellus, we got to Utica, and now we've heard that the Rogersville is going to be a big place someday. So we've got an awful lot of energy right there in that region. With that, we could be the backup as far as the backup for the United States, as far as an energy backup that we need. Next of all, we can revitalize the Appalachian Corridor, and the amount of jobs we're talking about. I was looking at the figures they were giving me here. We've been told by the Department of Energy that the Appalachian shale gas is a principal driver for the growth, as you all know that, in national production. But the Appalachian petrochemical industry could lead to an estimated 100,000 permanent jobs, $6 billion in payroll, and $3 billion in tax revenue. That's with the B, billion. That's a game changer. That's a game changer for all Appalachia. But also it's a game changer for the United States of America to have that resilience and that redundancy. So that's why we believe this is so important, and we're working so hard. We've got a lot of things happening now. We're looking at the loan programs, Title 17. We got that moving. We're doing more and more in our committee on this to make sure that we have the resilience that we need. It's going to take a collaboration of government, of the local entities, of the private sector, all of us working in that direction. I think the returns are going to be tremendous for everybody that's involved. I believe the sooner that we're able to move, it's better than that's okay, I didn't need that. Than waiting. On top of that, we start looking also, and every day, since I've been in the Senate, I was in the Intel Committee, I'm on Armed Services, so I've been paying attention, and now I'm a ranking member on Subcommittee on Cyber, on Armed Services. There's not been a week that I've been since November 2010, that I've been in the Senate. There's not been a week gone by that I've not had a cyber meeting, a cybersecurity meeting, about what's going on, the vulnerability that we have as a nation, the attempted attacks that are going on. So it brings to full circle when I went to Saudi Arabia. I'm talking to the Aramco officials. And they took us up, and then they showed us a video of all the attack. The attack happened, I think, it was a Saturday morning at 8:30. So they had very limited, sparse staff on. None of their management team was there at all. They had one young man, about 22 years of age, who was kind of monitoring. And they had one supervisor on. I'm told, and you all would know, more about the workings of a refinery of that magnitude, what, 7 million barrels a day potential, that the pinpoint accuracy and basically the targets that were chosen would have taken that out for a period of time, which would have caused chaos in the world markets, let's put it that way. The main thing they kept striving to us was they had to decanter that plant so they didn't lose the whole 16-acre plant. This young man, 22 years of age, has been trained from day one he got there about these types of attacks. I would venture to say that we probably don't have that same type of determination or defense and procedures in place in America, and it can happen. So I asked the Aramco, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, how did this, aren't you concerned about the espionage and maybe some of the people working in your plant that was able to give all of this intricate information, and also the coordinates of where the missiles should hit? He looked at me, he says, if we thought that was a problem, we would be. He said, but basically it's all Google Maps. He says, they're so accurate that we were able to be pinpointed accurately in these missiles. There was no doubt where the missiles came from. The missiles came from Iran or Iraq from the north. Every one of the precise hits was absolutely within a target, no bigger than 20 foot, and they hit almost the middle in each one of the silos. It was just unbelievable. The one missile that hit right in the middle of their supply line, and if they had not was able to not get that decanted, and they're telling me this young man, you could see him running frantically, he went over and turned the valve off the feed line into it immediately when it got hit, within minutes. Turned that off and let the backdraft, basically let it burn to where it decanted the system to where they saved it. That makes sense to you all. I kind of saw it, and it made sense to me. Rather than everything going, the force going this way, it was coming back out the place that was already blown up, kind of saved the plant. So it was just remarkable how they were able to get back online. We were there within 2 weeks after their attack. And now I understand they're back up to 100%, and oil prices had not changed that much. I think we had a spike there for a very small period of time, and back more or less to normal prices now. So then we in West Virginia, there's the Chinese, and I've been fairly critical on this. I want to make it very clear. I encourage any investment into our country, into any company. I encourage that. The only thing that I look at is the reciprocating of what we can do in reciprocation to the country that wants to do business in our country. So can we go to China and basically buy their stock feeds or buy their resources, or enter into their financial institutions, or basically their grid system, any of this? And I'm saying that if there's a reason that we're not able to reciprocate in that type from the free market, then why should we allow that to happen to us? So when I kept pushing the Chinese on this $83 billion investment, I says, we welcome that investment. I welcome a passive investment. I don't want China to be a major driver of this. But with that being said, I can only determine that their intent is to take all of the wet properties, the butane, propane, and ethanes. And I understand there's a company, and I've met with them, called American Ethane, and they have a contract to deliver this product to China. Well, we need this product in Appalachia basically for manufacturing. We have a tremendous chemical valley. If you look up the Kanawha River, up the Ohio River, along the Ohio-West Virginia border, the chemical plants we have are a mere footprint of what they used to be. We could bring all of those back online. We have one cracker going in, a shell cracker going in right across the river, which can have a real game changer for us on being able to use into the stock feed of manufacturing. So I've had many questions about that and concerns, and I'm very open-minded, but I'm also very cautious about how we proceed, and the state of West Virginia puts itself in a position not to give up, I think, the game changer that we're going to need to revitalize not only my state, but that whole region of Appalachia up there. And I think it's really a game changer. So I can just say that we have a good committee. I encourage you all to use our committee for any type of information, but also share your information with us. Renee Black is here with me, and Renee she's in the back. She's our deputy secretary running that operation for me, director. Sarah Venuta is coming back off of maternity leave, and they make a tremendous team. We have a great team around them that can help you in any range, in any area of concern, whether it's nuclear, whether it's fossil, whether it's renewables, anything that you have expertise in, share with us. And making sure that we have all the information, latest information, helps us in our hearings. It helps us to be more precise in a direction that we're choosing. When we sit down with the staff, we're able to say, we've got this input here. We put that together, and then Lisa and I have to make a determination what we put on as far as the hearing and what direction we're going to go with that, and trying to put an energy bill together. And let me tell you how productive this committee has been in a very short period of time. We've got 43 bills. 43 bills you don't hear a lot about, but 43 energy bills have come out. And we're going to put an energy package together, and we'll have it ready to go. We will have it ready to do. If Congress decides to do anything, the Senate will be prepared to have one major energy piece of legislation. And we're looking for that to happen hopefully next year. Lisa will be the chairman up through 2020. She's termed out. The Republican side terms out. I'm not termed out, and then if the Democrats took over the Senate, I'd be the chairman. But no matter how it works up, we have good staffs, we work well together, and we want your input. And I would hope that you would use that and use us to help make a better energy policy for the United States of America, so we continue to be the energy leader. There's a lot of exciting information here. There's a lot of exciting technology going on. And I just talked to Forrest. We were talking about things he's going to do and how he wants to transport LNG and taking the wet properties, all doing it in a much more economical way. Is there any questions whatsoever? I'm happy to take any questions you may have on any issues. Right now, I can only tell you we live in a troubled world, in a divided country. I've never seen this before in my life in the political arena. I've been around for a while. I've been a state senator. I've been Secretary of State. I've been governor. And now I'm a U.S. senator, so I've seen a lot of things. And the only thing I can tell you is there's nothing normal about what you're seeing today, but there's nothing normal in the world. Everything is upturned. This too shall pass. we will get back. I mean, the world is starving for leadership. The world is starving for leadership. We've always been there, and we've got to be very cautious. When there's a void, it's not always the best alternative fills that void. And we've got to rise again, and we will. We will come together. We're still able to work under a crisis. Right now, we're very divided. They want to know what side you're on. I said, I'm on America's side. I don't know what side that is. I'm not on the red side. I'm not on the blue side. I'm on the red, white, and blue. And I hope to think. I would like to think most Americans are too. We just need to speak up. This is a lot of nonsense that's going on right now. And I've been able to have a good relationship with the president. I've been able to speak to him. We have good conversations. We can agree to disagree. And I keep telling him, I said, Mr. President, I've told him this, I know you villainized all Democrats just because they have a D by their name, but if it wasn't for those Ds, you wouldn't be president. I said, the bottom line is we need all of us. And I said, you've got to be the president for everybody, not just one side or the other or this or that. And hopefully that we get out of this political season, that'll change. We'll see what happens. But we're working hard. We're working hard. Yes, sir. Is a mic? Do we have a mic? Okay.
First of all, thank you for your leadership. You made the case that energy infrastructure in this country is critical. It's absolutely critical. And there are certain regions, obviously, you're focused on for energy futures. But you also mentioned cyber. You also mentioned cybersecurity. So of those 43 bills that you talked about, are there bills there that really help us look very critically at the cybersecurity of the energy grid as we build it out over time? I'm really interested about that protection.
Well, the PROTECT Act. We have a PROTECT Act that we're working on right now, and we have a group of bipartisan senators working on that. How do we incentivize to take more steps as far as insecurity? How do we make sure that you are getting the support that you need? Because I'm concerned right now, when I saw Aramco and basically the juggernaut it is for Saudi Arabia, I mean, their whole country's tied to Aramco. And for them to be able to hit, but I mean, they're taking every precaution they can. And you're saying, well, we have missile defense all around them. They're able to purchase whatever they need. Why were they not? They never been threatened from that end. They were threatened from Yemen and the Houthis and all this and that that's going on. They never thought it would come from that. It's a whole different game changer now. So with that being said, if I saw what Google Maps was able to provide the information that was needed for the Iranians, backed whoever missile-wise, but I know there's no doubt in my mind it was the Iranians because they have the technology to do what they did, and it was very precise. For them to be able to do what they did, there's nothing safe. I mean, I've been to switching stations. I've been to basically pump houses and you know, all these things, and I don't see that type of security there. I can just imagine right now we've had natural gas moving into a base load. You know, before we only had, as I understood, only two base load fuels, nuclear and coal. If there was 60 days of coal piled beside it, you can continue to feed. If nuclear was there, you could continue to run. Well, now gas has taken the place because of the price and abundancy that we have and the price of it. And it's much more economically right now. But with that being said, it can be disrupted too. And you disrupt basically a base load fuel that this country depends on. That's a critical position to be put into, and I think it's very damaging for our state and the defense of our nation. So we're very concerned about that, and yes, there will be. This piece of legislation, I think, will move very quickly because we've got to get all the major utilities up and running and be responsible for their supply lines. They might say, oh no, that's someone else's responsibility. But if that plant is running and we're looking at that plant as a base load plant, it's going to be responsible all the way back for the security, is what we're looking at. Anybody else? Right over here? Yes, sir.
Senator, appreciate all you do. As I mentioned to you before the session, I'm right down in your district. So the question I have is, I work for an engineering firm, MS Consultants, and we do a lot of work in the area, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, right along the river there where the cracker's going in Belmont County. Can you speak for just a few minutes about how you're kind of reaching out across the river to the leadership in Pennsylvania and Ohio to be more encouraging to companies from all over the globe to come in and set up shop basically along the river there to take advantage of the feedstock that's going to be as a result of the cracker.
I think that if someone shows, and here's the thing, if our Chinese friends in the business world would show the intention towards taking that raw product, cracking it, using it for manufacturing, investing in our structure that we already have there for the chemical plants, it'd be very welcome. But we're not getting that type. But we should be opened up. I mean, my goodness, there should be an incentive to be able to use that in the Appalachian region. So if we can come together as the 3 or 4 states right now that are in the production end of that, that would be something I think would be a tremendous incentive for people not only to come and be able to have abundance of that energy there, but be able to have an incentive to use it there. Because when you think about that location, the Mid-Atlantic, we're within a one-day drive of almost 65 to 70% of the United States population. So you're perfectly strategically located. You got good rail system. You got good road system. You know, you don't have a port system there, but we already have the port system down in the Houston area as far as in Louisiana and Houston. But we need a redundance basically that has a little bit more shelter along from the, I think it just makes sense. When you look at it, it makes sense, and the president is moving along those lines. He's been very much supportive and encouraging of this. And I think you're going to see some things happen here very shortly. I understand, Steve, you might know there's a big conference tomorrow, Pittsburgh? Yes, sir. Okay, and we're hoping to hear some good things there. So I think you're going to see some action pretty quickly. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator, for being here and for being here in Washington. You mentioned an energy bill earlier, and I was wondering, why can't the Senate take action, or at least take up that bill right now? Why does it take a year?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we do individual bills. So we're going individually on these bills here. There's going to have to be something that carries that bill. Something that everybody wants, every Democrat, Republican, no matter how far left and how far right. How we were able to get the lands bill through this past year before, LWCF, Land Water Conservation Fund, is something that everybody's got something in. Everybody has a little project they want done. Mike knows how this works. So everybody there's looking. When we were able to get that bill on, we used that as a catalyst to carry us over on the lands bill. Now we're talking about LWCF as far as the permanent funding for LWCF. If you know how Land Water Conservation Fund works, it works basically from offshore drilling and the royalties that come off of offshore drilling. And it's about $900 million a year. Well, the LWCF fund gets about 450 of that. And I've been working with my counterpart, Lisa, and we're working and looking at how we can get this. I've been a supporter. I've introduced a piece of legislation that has permanent funding. That means all 900 would go to LWCF. We could take about 200 to 250 million of that a year, bond that out. If we can find out a way that we can use it in the federal government and state government, if we had a funding stream, we could bond out and do things. We need to get our parks up and running again. Basically, we have 11 to 12 billion dollars of deferred maintenance. This would be a way to do that and catch up real quick. And we could jump from 450 to maybe 650 as far as funding for LWCF permanent. It still go through appropriations. I'm an appropriator also. Appropriators always want to have their finger in the pie in case there might be something for them. That's the way the system works. And we're all trying to help each other here. So we think that could be the catalyst that carries it. It's just not ready yet, that's all. And there'll be more bills. There could be 60 or 70 bills in one major piece of energy reform. But it's going to be something, I think, this is Lisa might have another thought process on this. I think it'll take something as big as permanent funding, LWCF, to get everybody wanting this to happen. And that's really where we're at. That's the skinny of it, if you will. Norm? Well, let me just say this. And I think about this country that we have and how blessed we are. Whether you were born here, natural citizen, where you came here, whatever, this country has been a refuge for that American dream. And it's been, all of us have lived this American dream. This dream is not dead, and it's not going anywhere. Right now, we're in a little confusion state, if you will. We'll get past this. This is still the greatest country on earth. The rest of the world is looking for us. There's nobody else wants to take the superpower of America's place for the purposes that we are a superpower. Doesn't mean just super military power or super financial power. It means super compassion. It means basically superhuman properties that we basically inherently have in us, and the freedoms that we would like for the rest of the world to have. We're the only person, and we're the only people, we're the only country that really strives for that. And that's what the world is hungering for. And we're going to be able to do that, and I think do it in such fine fashion. So I say this, I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be in the U.S. Senate and trying to fight for the values I was raised with in West Virginia. That's get up off your butt and do something, produce something, give something back, contribute. Do something worthwhile to help humankind. And with that, I'm saying, God bless the United States of America. Thank you all.